I accidentally discovered my husband's affair when I found our 7-year-old daughter's diary and read about how scared she was of Daddy's other lady. She'd been keeping this secret for months because he told her not to tell Mommy. When I confronted him, Child Protective Services got involved. Now I'm a single mom fighting for full custody and my daughter is in therapy. I, 33F, am writing this from my lawyer's office waiting room, trying to process how my entire world collapsed 3 weeks ago because I found my daughter's diary. My husband, Grant, 36M, and I have been married for 9 years. We have one daughter, Emma, 7F, who is the light of my life. Or at least, I thought she was living a happy, carefree childhood. Turns out she's been carrying a terrible secret that no 7-year-old should have to bear. Let me start from the beginning. Grant and I met in our mid-20s through work. We both worked in software development at different companies but met at an industry conference. He was charming, successful, seemed like a great guy. We dated for 2 years before getting married. Emma was born a year later, and I transitioned to working from home as a freelance developer so I could be with her more. Grant continued climbing the corporate ladder, eventually becoming a director at his company. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I thought it was solid. Grant traveled sometimes for work, usually just overnight trips. We had our routines, family dinners when he was home, weekend activities with Emma, annual vacations. Normal life. Or so I believed. About 6 months ago, I noticed Emma becoming more withdrawn. She's normally a bubbly, talkative kid, comes home from school bursting with stories about her day, eager to show me her artwork, always singing or dancing around the house. But starting around September, she got quieter, more reserved. She'd come home from school and go straight to her room instead of bouncing around telling me about recess. At first, I thought maybe she was just adjusting to 2nd grade or having friend drama at school. I asked her teachers if everything was okay, and they said Emma seemed fine in class, participating, playing with friends, no behavioral issues. So, I figured it was just a phase. But the change persisted. Emma started having nightmares. She'd wake up crying 2 or 3 times a week, and when I'd go to comfort her, she'd cling to me but wouldn't tell me what the nightmares were about. Just scary things, she'd say. Bad dreams. She also became more clingy with me specifically. If Grant tried to put her to bed, she'd ask for me instead. If he offered to take her to the park, she'd say she'd rather stay home. At the time, I thought maybe she was going through a mommy phase that some kids experience. Grant seemed a bit hurt by it, but he brushed it off as normal kid behavior. Then there was the lying. Emma had always been an honest kid, sometimes painfully so, the way young children are. But suddenly she was lying about small things. Whether she'd brushed her teeth, what she'd done at school, where she'd been playing. The lies were always about activities involving Grant, I realize now, but at the time it just seemed like random childhood fibbing. Grant and I argued about it. He thought I was being too soft on her, that we needed to be stricter about the lying. I felt like something else was going on, that Emma was reacting to something stressful, but I couldn't figure out what. Around December, about a month ago, Emma started talking about an imaginary friend. Not unusual for a 7-year-old, but the way she talked about this friend was strange. The friend's name was Miss Scary, and Emma seemed afraid of her rather than fond of her. Miss Scary says Daddy likes her better than Mommy, Emma told me once while I was making dinner. I laughed it off. Well, Miss Scary doesn't know what she's talking about. Daddy loves Mommy very much. Emma got very serious. But Miss Scary is real, Mommy. I've seen her. Honey, imaginary friends can seem real, but she's not imaginary, Emma shouted, then ran to her room. I mentioned it to Grant that night. Emma's been talking about this imaginary friend who scares her. Have you noticed? He barely looked up from his laptop. Kids have weird imaginations. She'll grow out of it. But she seems genuinely frightened. And she said this friend, Miss Scary, said you like her better than me? That's an odd thing for a kid to make up. Grant shrugged. Kids say weird stuff. Don't read too much into it. Looking back, his dismissiveness was a red flag. But at the time, I was too focused on Emma to analyze Grant's reactions. 2 weeks ago, I was putting away Emma's laundry when I noticed a small notebook had fallen behind her nightstand. I pulled it out. It was one of those composition books with a marbled black and white cover. On the front, in Emma's careful printing, Emma's private diary. Do not read. I shouldn't have read it. I know that. Children deserve privacy, and Emma had specifically asked for this diary to be private. But I was worried about her. The nightmares, the lying, the withdrawal, the fear of this Miss Scary character. I thought maybe her diary would give me insight into what was troubling her so I could help. I opened it to the first page. Emma's handwriting was typical for a 7-year-old. Some words spelled correctly, others phonetically, uneven letters. The first few entries were innocent kid stuff. Today we had pizza at school. It was good. I played with Sophia at recess. I got a gold star for my math. Mommy was proud. We went to the park. I went on the swings really high. But then, about 2 months into the entries, the tone changed. Daddy has a other lady. I saw her. She has yellow hair. Daddy said don't tell Mommy. He said it would make Mommy sad. I don't want Mommy to be sad. My heart stopped. I reread the entry 3 times, trying to make sense of it. Daddy has another lady. Don't tell Mommy. I flipped forward, hands shaking. More entries. Daddy took me to the other lattice house. She was nice, but I don't like her. She gave me cookies. Daddy said I was a good girl for not telling. The other lady was at the park with us. Daddy said she was his friend. I don't think Mommy would like her. I had a bad dream about the other lady. She was in her house and Mommy was gone. I woke up crying. I miss Mommy, even though she's here. I don't like going to Daddy's work now because the other lady is there. She smiles too much. Daddy says I have to be nice to her. Entry after entry. For months, Emma had been carrying this secret, had been introduced to Grant's affair partner, had been told to lie to me, had been having nightmares about it. The most recent entry, from just 3 days earlier, made me physically ill. Miss Scary asked if I wanted her to be my new mommy. I said no. I have a mommy. Daddy got mad at me. He said I was rude. But I don't want a new mommy. I'm scared Miss Scary will make Mommy go away. I wish I could tell Mommy, but Daddy said I can't. I don't know what to do. I'm scared. I sat on Emma's bedroom floor, clutching her diary, sobbing. My husband had been having an affair. He'd been exposing our 7-year-old daughter to his affair partner. He'd told Emma to keep secrets from me. He'd put our child in a position where she was having nightmares and anxiety because she was being forced to participate in his deception. And the affair partner, Miss Scary, had asked my daughter if she wanted a new mommy. What kind of person does that to a child? I took photos of every single page of the diary. Then I put it back exactly where I'd found it. I needed to think clearly to figure out what to do next. But first I needed to know who this woman was. I went through Grant's things. His laptop was password protected, but I knew his passwords. He used the same few for everything. I got into his email and found exactly what I was looking for. Months of correspondence with someone named Veronica. The emails were explicit, sexual, romantic. They called each other pet names. Made plans to meet up. Grant told her he loved her. Told her he was planning to leave me eventually, once he figured out the timing. Told her that Emma would come around to the idea of Veronica as a stepmother. Veronica worked at Grant's company. She was a project manager in his division. I found her LinkedIn profile. Blonde hair, late 20s, attractive. This was Miss Scary. I also found texts between them that Grant had failed to delete. The most damning were about Emma. Grant. Had to bring Emma with me today. Sorry for the surprise. Veronica. No worries. She's adorable, though she seems shy around me. Grant. She'll warm up. Just needs time. Another exchange. Veronica. Do you think Emma will accept me as her stepmom when the time comes? Grant. She will. Kids are resilient, and you're great with her. Veronica. I asked her today if she'd like me to be her new mommy someday. She didn't seem into it, lol. Grant. Give her time. She's protective of Opie right now, but that'll change. They were discussing my daughter, like she was a problem to be managed. Like her feelings and well-being were secondary to their relationship. Grant had been using Emma as a prop in his affair, forcing her to interact with his mistress, asking her to keep secrets, all while planning to eventually replace me with Veronica. I wanted to scream, to throw things, to storm into Grant's office and destroy him. But I had to be smart. Emma was my priority. I needed to protect her, which meant documenting everything and getting legal advice before confronting Grant. I took screenshots of all the emails and texts. I made copies of everything and stored them in multiple places: cloud storage, email to myself, a USB drive I hid in my car. Then I called my sister and told her everything. She immediately offered to take Emma for the night, said I could tell Emma it was a special sleepover with her cousins. That evening, when Grant got home from work, Emma was already at my sister's house. I was sitting at the kitchen table with printouts of the diary pages, the emails, the texts, all laid out in front of me. "Hey," Grant said as he walked in, loosening his tie. "Where's Emma?" "At my sister's," I said calmly. "Sit down. We need to talk." Something in my tone made him hesitate. "What's going on?" "Sit down." He sat across from me, his eyes scanning the papers on the table. I watched as recognition, and then panic crossed his face. "I found Emma's diary," I said. "I read about Daddy's other lady, about Miss Scary, about how you've been forcing our 7-year-old daughter to keep your affair secret from me." "Opie, I can explain." Can you? Can you explain why you've been exposing our daughter to your mistress? Why you told her not to tell me? Why you've been taking her to Veronica's house? Why Veronica asked Emma if she wanted a new mommy?" Grant's face went pale. "You read her diary? That's what you're concerned about?" "I violated Emma's privacy. So you're the victim here?" "That's not what I meant. Our daughter has been having nightmares, Grant. She's been withdrawn and anxious and lying to me because you put her in an impossible position. She's 7 years old, and you've been using her as cover for your affair." "I never used her as cover. You took her to Veronica's house. You brought her to your workplace when Veronica was there. You made her keep secrets. That's using her, Grant. You involved our child in your affair and you traumatized her in the process." Grant put his head in his hands. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then he said quietly, "I never meant for Emma to be affected. But she was. She's terrified. She thinks Veronica is going to replace me. She's having nightmares about it. And instead of protecting her, you've been prioritizing your affair." "It's not just an affair," Grant said. "I love Veronica. I was going to tell you."
"When?"
"After how many more months of lying? After how many more times you used Emma as an alibi or forced her to interact with your girlfriend? I thought if Emma got to know Veronica first, the transition would be easier when I finally told you I wanted a divorce." I stared at him in disbelief. "You thought forcing our daughter to have a secret relationship with your mistress would make it easier on her? Are you insane?" "I was trying to think ahead. You were being selfish. You were putting your wants ahead of Emma's needs. A good father would have ended the marriage before starting a new relationship, or, at the very least, would have kept his child completely out of it. But you did neither. You brought Emma into your lie, and you damaged her in the process." We argued for another hour. Grant tried to minimize what he'd done, tried to blame me for various things. I worked too much. We'd grown apart. I didn't appreciate him. Classic cheater deflection. But he couldn't explain away Emma's diary entries. He couldn't justify telling a 7-year-old to keep secrets from her mother. He couldn't defend Veronica asking Emma about being her new mommy. Finally, I told him, "I want you out of this house tonight. Tomorrow I'm filing for divorce and for full custody. You can't keep Emma from me. Watch me. You've been emotionally manipulating our daughter for months. You've created an environment where she's afraid and anxious. No judge is going to look favorably on that. I'm her father." "Then you should have acted like it." Grant left that night. He went to stay at Veronica's, which felt fitting. I called my sister and told her I'd pick up Emma in the morning, that I needed the night to process everything. The next day, I picked up Emma and brought her home. She seemed relieved that it was just us, that Grant wasn't there. I made her favorite breakfast, chocolate chip pancakes, and we ate together at the kitchen table. "Emma, sweetie, I need to talk to you about something," I said gently. She looked up at me with those big eyes, and I could see fear flash across her face. Am I in trouble? No, baby, you're not in trouble. But I need you to know that you can always tell me anything.
Even if someone tells you not to.
Even if it's a secret. You can always talk to Mommy. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Even about Miss Scary? My heart broke. Yes, even about Miss Scary. Emma, I know about her. I know Daddy's been taking you to see her, and that he told you not to tell me. I'm sorry. Emma burst into tears. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. Daddy said it would make you sad, and I didn't want to make you sad, but I was scared and I didn't like Miss Scary, and I wanted to tell you, but... I pulled her into my arms, holding her while she sobbed. Sho, it's okay. You're not in trouble. You didn't do anything wrong. Daddy shouldn't have asked you to keep secrets. That was wrong of him, not wrong of you. Is Miss Scary going to be my new mommy? Emma asked through her tears. No, sweetheart. You already have a mommy. Nobody is going to replace me. I promise. But Daddy said. I don't care what Daddy said. You and I are going to stay together, okay? You're stuck with me. Emma clung to me for a long time. When she finally calmed down, I asked her gently about her interactions with Veronica, how many times she'd seen her, what they'd done together, how it had made her feel. Emma's answers confirmed everything I'd read in her diary, and worse. Grant had been regularly taking Emma to Veronica's apartment when he claimed to be taking Emma to the park or for ice cream. He'd had Veronica at the office when he brought Emma to see where Daddy works. He'd created multiple scenarios where Emma was forced to interact with his mistress, all while making Emma promise not to tell me. The psychological damage was becoming clearer. Emma had been put in an impossible position, told to lie to me, forced to have a relationship with a woman who wanted to replace me, made to feel responsible for keeping her father's secret. No wonder she'd been having nightmares and acting withdrawn. That same day, I contacted a family law attorney. I brought all my evidence, the diary photos, the emails, the texts, documentation of Emma's behavioral changes. My attorney was horrified. This is parental alienation, she said. He's been deliberately interfering with your relationship with Emma by forcing her to keep secrets. And he's been exposing her to potentially harmful situations by involving her in his affair. What are my options? I asked. We file for divorce immediately. We also file for an emergency custody evaluation and request that Grant's visitation be supervised until we can assess the psychological impact on Emma. Will that work? Given this evidence?
Yes.
Judges don't look kindly on parents who use children as pawns in their affairs. Forcing Emma to lie to you, exposing her to his affair partner, telling her to keep secrets, this is serious. We filed all the paperwork that afternoon. Grant was served with divorce papers and a notice that he'd need to attend a custody hearing. He immediately called me furious. You're trying to take Emma away from me? I'm trying to protect Emma from more damage. You've been harming her, Grant. Psychologically manipulating her. Putting her in situations that terrify her. I never hurt her. You told her to lie to me. You made her keep your affair secret. You let Veronica ask if she wanted a new mommy. How is that not hurting her? You're being vindictive. I'm being a parent. Something you seem to have forgotten how to do. The custody hearing was expedited given the circumstances. Both Grant and I had to testify. My attorney presented Emma's diary, the emails showing Grant discussing using Emma to help Veronica become her stepmother, and documentation from Emma's teacher noting behavioral changes over the past few months. The most damaging testimony came from the child psychologist who'd been assigned to evaluate Emma. She'd met with Emma twice, and her assessment was clear. Emma was suffering from anxiety directly related to being forced to participate in her father's deception. The psychologist noted that Emma expressed fear that Miss Scary would replace her mother, guilt over lying to me, and confusion about whether she'd done something wrong. This child has been placed in an untenable position, the psychologist testified. She's been told to keep secrets from her primary attachment figure, her mother, and has been forced to interact with her father's affair partner. This has created significant emotional distress. Grant's attorney tried to argue that Grant was just trying to help Emma adjust to a future family structure, that he'd never intended to harm Emma, that his judgment had been impaired by his feelings for Veronica. None of it landed well with the judge. The judge's ruling was harsh. I was granted temporary full custody. Grant was allowed supervised visitation only 2 hours per week, supervised by a court-appointed monitor. He was ordered to attend parenting classes. And this was the part that shocked even me. The judge contacted Child Protective Services to open an investigation into emotional abuse. The court finds that Mr. Grant's actions constitute emotional manipulation of a minor, the judge said. Forcing a child to maintain secrecy regarding a parent's affair, exposing the child to an affair partner without the other parent's knowledge or consent, and creating an environment where the child experiences anxiety and fear regarding family structure constitutes a form of emotional abuse. CPS will investigate to determine if additional interventions are necessary. Grant's face went white. A CPS investigation could affect his career, his reputation, his future custody rights. But more than that, it meant that what he'd done to Emma was being taken seriously by the system. It wasn't just bad judgment or a mistake. It was recognized as harmful to our daughter. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, CPS has been conducting their investigation. They've interviewed me, interviewed Grant, interviewed Emma with a specially trained forensic interviewer, and spoken with Emma's teachers and the child psychologist. I don't know what their final determination will be, but the caseworker I've spoken with has been very sympathetic. We take emotional manipulation of children very seriously, she told me. Forcing a child to keep secrets from a parent, using a child as a pawn in adult relationships, these are red flags for us. We want to make sure Emma has the support she needs. Emma has started therapy with a child psychologist who specializes in family trauma. She's been doing better. Fewer nightmares, more open about her feelings, less withdrawn. But she's still processing everything. She asks questions like, is Daddy in trouble because of me? And did I do something bad? No matter how many times I reassure her that none of this is her fault, she still carries some guilt. She also asks about Veronica sometimes. Is Miss Scary still around? Will I have to see her again? I always tell her the same thing. You never have to see or talk to anyone who scares you or makes you uncomfortable. Mommy will make sure you're safe. Grant's supervised visits have been tense. He's trying to rebuild his relationship with Emma, but she's guarded around him now. She doesn't trust him the way she used to. During their last visit, Emma apparently told the supervisor that she didn't want to talk to Daddy about Miss Scary, and Grant became frustrated, which Emma found upsetting. The supervisor noted it in her report. Grant has been texting me, alternating between apologetic and angry. Sometimes he admits he made terrible mistakes and wants to make things right. Other times he accuses me of poisoning Emma against him, of being vindictive, of using the legal system to punish him for falling in love with someone else. I don't engage with the angry texts, and the apologetic ones ring hollow. He's not sorry he hurt Emma, he's sorry he got caught and is facing consequences. As for Veronica, I honestly don't know much about what's happened with her. I know she's still working at Grant's company, though I've heard through the grapevine that HR has been informed of the situation and is monitoring things. I hope she understands the role she played in traumatizing a 7-year-old child. I hope she feels some guilt about asking Emma if she wanted a new mommy. But I'm not holding my breath. The divorce is moving forward. Grant's attorney tried to negotiate, wanted to avoid the affair and Emma being part of the court record because it would make him look bad. My attorney shut that down immediately. Your client made choices that harmed his child. Those choices are relevant to custody and will be part of the record. We're heading toward a settlement where I'll have primary physical custody. Grant will have supervised visitation that can potentially become unsupervised after he completes parenting classes and Emma's therapist agrees it's appropriate. Grant will pay child support. The house will be sold, and we'll split the proceeds. I'm also filing for full legal custody, meaning I'd make all major decisions about Emma's education, healthcare, and welfare without needing Grant's input. Given the circumstances, my attorney thinks I have a strong case. Some people have asked me if I feel guilty about reading Emma's diary. The answer is complicated. Yes, I violated her privacy. Yes, under normal circumstances, I never would have read her private thoughts. But I was worried about her, and reading that diary gave me crucial information that allowed me to protect her from further harm. If I hadn't read it, Emma might have continued carrying that secret for months or years, continuing to be traumatized. I've been honest with Emma about it. I told her that I found her diary and read it because I was worried about her, and that I'm sorry for reading her private thoughts, but that I'm glad I did because it helped me understand what was wrong. Emma said she was actually relieved I'd found it because she didn't have to carry the secret anymore. I was scared to tell you, she admitted, but I wanted you to know. I'm glad you know now. We're working on rebuilding trust, not between Emma and Grant, but between Emma and the world in general. She's learning that adults should never ask children to keep secrets from their parents. She's learning that it's okay to tell the truth even if someone says not to. She's learning that she's not responsible for adult problems or adult feelings. It's going to be a long road. The therapist has warned me that Emma might have trust issues, might struggle with anxiety, might need ongoing support as she processes what happened. But kids are resilient, and with proper support, Emma will heal. As for me, I'm angry. I'm sad. I'm grieving the marriage I thought I had, and the family structure I thought Emma was growing up in. But I'm also relieved that I found out when I did, before more damage was done. And I'm determined to make sure Emma knows she's loved, safe, and never responsible for her father's choices. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, if your partner is involving your children in an affair, making them keep secrets, exposing them to an affair partner, using them as alibis, that's not just infidelity. That's emotional manipulation of a child. Document everything. Contact a family law attorney. Consider involving Child Protective Services if the situation warrants it. Your first priority is protecting your child's emotional well-being, even if it means taking drastic steps. And to anyone who's having an affair, keep your children completely out of it. Don't make them keep secrets. Don't expose them to your affair partner. Don't use them as pawns or props. Whatever issues you have in your marriage, your children didn't create them and shouldn't be forced to participate in the deception. If you can't see why that's harmful, you need to seriously examine your priorities. I'll update once the divorce is final and we have a permanent custody arrangement. For now, Emma and I are taking things day by day, rebuilding our life together, and healing from the damage Grant caused. Edit. Several people have asked about specific things. Emma's current state. She's doing much better. Still in therapy, still processing, but she's starting to seem more like her old self. She's laughing more, playing more, sleeping better. Her teacher says she seems happier at school. The CPS investigation, still ongoing. I've been told these things take time. The caseworker seems thorough and genuinely concerned about Emma's well-being. Grant's relationship with Veronica. As far as I know, they're still together. Whether that lasts now that the affair is no longer secret and exciting, I don't know or care. People saying I shouldn't have read the diary. I understand that perspective. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have. But Emma was showing signs of serious distress, and I needed to understand why so I could help her. I stand by my decision. Whether I'll allow unsupervised visits eventually, that depends entirely on Grant's progress in parenting classes, what Emma's therapist recommends, and whether Emma feels safe with him. Her well-being comes first, always. Thank you all for the support. It means more than you know.